Alright, well, today we are going to be removing my old brand new turbo and replacing it for my new variable geometry turbo. So this turbo over here I just got, if you saw the end of my last video, I got it today because my brand new turbo that I just put on last video exploded. Something happened between either shipping or I have a boost leak that I cannot find, something like that, not sure. But something happened. It had oil. It had oil pressure. It had significant oil pressure. I have videos of all that stuff to back that up and prove it. I didn't have any significant leaks. I pre-filled this turbo full of oil before I put it on there, even though I really didn't need to. Well, depending on who you ask, you either do or you don't. But I did everything I was supposed to, and something happened within an hour of using it. But instead of boohooing about that, I've worked every chance I can for a little bit of cash for the last little while, and I've managed to go find a cheap $1,500 variable geometry turbo on Marketplace. So I just drove 2 hours and picked that up today, and we're about to slap that on here. I'm gonna pull this off and get this up here to get it mocked up, because we're gonna have to make another deal here to go to my stock intercooler piping, and then we'll be able to switch everything up and drive this thing, which I'm super excited about. So if you don't know much about those, that is a turbinator. That one is a 6368. So the idea behind that is that basically does what a quick spool valve does, all in one turbo. So instead of having quick spool valve that pushes all the air from the manifold onto the far side of the exhaust wheel, that thing will basically act, in like the simplest terms, as a small turbo under the low boost, low pressure, and then once it starts spinning faster, the fins expand and basically turn into a big turbo. And like of advanced terms, all simple, I don't really know that much about them, that kind of terms. So if you want to know more about them, look them up, because I'm actively looking that up now. I just don't want to misspeak before I do anything, because I'm kind of researching them, because this is something I've wanted. My dad's tried to talk me into this since right after the wedding. But usually if you know anything about these and you look them up, they are extremely expensive. So I finally found one that's within my price range, and we went and picked it up. So I'm going to tear this stuff apart here now. I'm going to get this mucked up here. I'm going to get stuff clocked, figure out what I got to do to get this stuff all to work, and then get it cut and get it ready to go. And then whenever my welder is available, hopefully tomorrow, if I got my fingers crossed, I'll run it up there to him and we'll get it welded and we'll get it on this car. Car will be done again, and hopefully we don't blow this one up. I want to race it one more time before drag week. Unfortunately, drag week is in September, so we have like a month until drag week. So I need to get this done, and then I need to do some work on my trailer to get it set up for drag week. So I got a little bit of stuff to do, but in today's video we're going to get this new turbo on here, and hopefully this fixes all of our problems. Hopefully we're spooling quick, making good boost, and carrying on. This turbo, technically, according to some people, is a little small in the grand scheme of things. They're not sure if it'll do 600 horsepower. It's going to be about maxing it out, but we'll see. Maybe who I bought it from didn't remember the exact sizes. That's part of Marketplace. It can either be worse or it could be better, or it could be exactly right. You never know. Exactly right, I think this thing will be fine for what I have. This motor still doesn't even have valve springs in it. This is still stock, everything internally. So we'll see what it does, get it to drag week. If it does good, I'm going to go for a different inlet housing, but I'm going to keep the VGT exhaust housing. And then we might take that motor over there, throw valve springs in it, and then swap the heads on these two, because I think that's going to be easier since I have another one right there. I can pull that one off and build it, and then I can pull this one on and slap the new one on all in one day. So we'll put valve springs in this thing and go from there. Eventually I'm going to get that motor built and slapped in here, but if we keep breaking things, then all of my budget money is going to go out the window. So I got to get this thing to do enough without tearing it up. So I'm going to put it together. We're going to be pushing a lot more boost through it, so hopefully this next drag week we still make it through it, because we're going to be pushing it harder than we ever have. But I'm hoping to get a 10-second average and maybe get a 9, because that would be awesome. So we'll see what it does, but I'm going to start tearing this thing apart. Alright, just got this clock and got all of these torqued to 170 inch-pounds. So now I'm going to throw a turbine back in and then we'll be ready to go. Anyways, I can't hold all this together and video at the same time, but just trust that this all lines up as it should. And so now I just got to get all this stuff welded to make this work. And once I get that welded up, we'll be good to go and be able to try that out. I've gotten this thing adjusted and set like it should be, so it sits in there nice. So now all I got to do is basically pull all this back off and just tighten everything that I took off and loosened and adjusted, and we'll be good to go there. So I'm gonna go get this stuff welded here and we'll see what we can come up with. But happy with how that turned out. I can deal with that. So off to the races we go. I'm gonna get this welded and we'll see you back when I get it welded. All right, well, I have just spent probably about the last hour sweating my butt off trying to get my spacer perfectly hung. So I have my sandpaper. I was laying on the concrete where it's flat surface and got this to where, you know, it's looks pristine. But what's been taking me absolutely forever is trying to get my manifold to look the same, which you can see the grease marks where I just touched it like an idiot, but I'll sand that off here in a second. But I've always had a terrible manifold leak between the spacer. Whenever I'm using the spacer, if I'm using the T4 to T3 spacer, quick spool, I've always had an exhaust leak. And you can see here, there's a bit of sanding material there, but you can see where it's just blasting everything. And so that can't help us full time. But you can literally see in my exhaust here the amount of stuff that I have been sanding. So I have sanded for way too long, but I finally got it to where it's flush. I've used permanent markers, put lines on it, and just sanded until you can't see any of those marks. So I know all of it's flush. I've been wrapping the spacer with the sandpaper so this flat surface and just going to town, which it was way out. So not only that, but I think this gasket on the, no, I was about to say maybe I put the gasket on wrong, but there ain't no way I did it wrong 3 times in a row. So anyways, that's sanded. I said I was done a minute ago, but then I got sidetracked. So now I'm gonna go in, 'cause I'm pretty sure my wife's got dinner ready for me. So I'm gonna air up this flat tire because it's flat, but I'm changing those tires anyways because they're bald. They've got enough drags and drives on them. They need to replace. So I'm gonna change those out, and then we should be good. We're down to, once this turbo's on, we're just tires. Trailer tires, this tires, front and rear drive tires. Slicks are fine. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna air this little skinny up and I'm gonna head in the house. All right, well, back next day. Just painting over at my father-in-law's house for the majority of the morning, but then I got out and was able to go get my stuff welded. So we got my V-band welded on here and got this piece made up, so it's all welded. So now all we gotta do is this V-band will go there and we can go to our intercooler piping. So I need to actually grab this stuff and head back over here. And once we get in here, I need to do a little bit more sanding on this manifold. It got late last night and I gave up on it for a minute, but I just need to do a little bit more down there on the manifold. I just want to make sure we have a good seal, and then I just need to tighten up everything on this turbo, and we can throw it in there and start it up and see what it does. So pretty excited, hoping this all goes well. So I'm gonna jump back into putting all this back together. I'm gonna save you a bunch of this boring work. So for now, I'm just gonna pull this off and get to sanding, and I'll see you when I'm done. All right, well, It's actually 2 days later from the last time I did this. I had to get some pieces welded twice because I got welded the first time and I didn't really like how everything was ran. I got it re-welded. Now that's done. My oil feed fitting I had was different than every other turbo. I have 7 turbos here. Not one of them was the same one as this one. Then I had to get a new turbo drain deal picked up. Everything's different. And I thought I finally had everything done. I just tied everything together. It turns out that I mismeasured somewhere because my exhaust clamp V-band is the side on the turbo is too small compared to what I already have. So I'm probably gonna have to weld on either a new one on here or cut this off and weld one on here. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna do yet, but either way, I can start it and run it now. I'm just gonna have an exhaust leak, but hopefully my exhaust leak between the manifold is not here any longer. So I'm gonna fire this thing up and see if we got any leaks. All right, pre-filling this turbo. That'll work though. That time it made over 45, so I'm done. I'm gonna put it in the barn. I'm gonna go drive it, pull converter off, circulate transmission fluid, but this setup is the closest to anything ever working ever. So it'll make good moves and makes it quick enough. Maybe I won't have a 30-second reaction time. If you're alright with me, hop in. Alright, well, that's the end of this video with the VGT turbo, and I'm just kind of coming out to do a closing because I've been getting a lot done. We're getting ready to leave for drag week here in a little less than 2 weeks, so I've been trying to get a lot of stuff done. Put brand new tires onto my drag car here recently, front and rears. So I got new front runners on my trailer here. We got rid of actually these old low profile just truck tires. I think they're 4S10s, and we got some 14 ply Trans Eagle tires. So the trailer has real deal thick trailer tires, so no more of this stuff. This far of a drive, I wanted something real. Then I went to pack bearings and found out that the entire trailer brake system here had pretty much incinerated on itself. So I got brand new brakes, backing plates and all, put them on here, got the wiring done. And then the other night, I don't think I have any videos of this, but I put my car on and off the trailer with the drag week trailer. We ended up figuring out that I can pull it on behind me, then unhitch the car, take this winch cable behind me, drag it up there to the axle of the drag week trailer, and pull it on about another 2 feet. And then I welded a nut here so that my hitch ball can just come in here, and then this just unscrews so I can change it if I have a different trailer that goes on here or whatnot. But then the tongue of my trailer will go from here, and then the rear tires still on the end of the dub, which I'll show you a picture right now. But then last couple days I've been working on the battery for my winch and my lights here on my trailer. Has always had a battery box that's set up here, and the little battery that has been in there, you winch something on once or twice and it's about out of juice. And then the battery that I have here, that's a top post battery that works with this, is an old battery and it's really not any good. And if you let it sit, I can disconnect everything from it, but it sits overnight and it'll be dead by morning. But I do have a bunch of old tractor batteries and the Mercedes E300 turbo diesels that the OM606 come in are big batteries. So I've taken the last couple days and I took this stuff apart. I cut the old battery box up so that way I can lengthen it for the tractor batteries, because I don't really feel like buying a whole new box or making a whole new box when this will work. I'm just going to cut it, run 4 bolts in here, extend this stuff. But then I just rewired all of my trailer, which I'm glad I did, because after digging into this, some people should not be allowed to wire anything. Solder, shrink wrap is the only way. Non-insulated butt connectors are great to help with insulating or to help with soldering and everything, but wrapping wires together and taping them is not the correct way to do anything. So digging into this, I ended up tearing about half of this stuff out and just starting over or splicing in and running new wires. That way now my battery box, I moved it to over here. I've just welded in and painted all of this stuff right up here to where my battery is now going to be front mounted, and I can put a bigger battery on here that will winch something on and off 100 times. Actually, I haven't charged this battery again, but we winched this thing, that trailer on and off of this thing at least 12 times the other day, because I mean, we'd pull it on with the tongue of the drag week trailer coming forward, and then I was going to weld a hitch up here and pull it on and hitch it up here and then throw some straps, but it actually ended up being better clearance, and I would have more tongue weight with my car being farther forward and it back. But we pulled on forward, turn around, pulled it on backwards, then we pulled the car on forwards, and then we pulled the trailer on behind it, and then turned around and put it on sideways, and then took the car off to try to pull something on sideways. And we did about 15 different configurations of it, and that battery's still fully charged because it's a big battery. Now, is it going to suck now to replace that? Yeah, it kind of will, but probably when that time comes, being the cheap 23-year-old I am, I'll probably buy a $15 plastic battery box and put it back where it originally was and throw that cheap battery I got in there. Or I'll throw one of those Mercedes batteries on there. But I keep those kind of on the battery tender constantly so that they stay good. But so drag week trailer is now done. I've gotten that all situated. All I gotta do is drill and bolt this battery box on. The wiring's already done and all that's done. And then this trailer's done. I gotta pack the drag week trailer still, but pre-packed the bearings on it and everything, so it's good to go. And then as far as drag car goes, I just washed it the other night, but we do have a box coming from Diesel Pump UK, And in that box are some street/strip ready to rock valve springs. I've never done any of this. I've been going back and forth to put valve springs in this car forever, but the motor just never gave me any issues, so I just kind of been neglecting that. But now that we're going to be shoving 50 psi down its throat, I don't really want to float valves and regret my life of driving 14 hours to Maryland and blowing up on day one because I floated a valve. Valve spring broke, dropped a valve, and now I chewed up my brand new turbo, the head, probably the bore, the cylinder wall, piston, basically junking a whole new motor and turbo. So I decided to order some valve springs. I also ordered a pretty sweet tool from Blueprint to change the collets and keepers and valve springs without taking the head off. All I gotta do is make sure I'm a TDC on each cylinder that I'm about to change, and so the valve can't fall into the cylinder. But then you just use this little tool. It's magnetic. You punch it out, it holds the collets and keeper, and then you change the spring, you flip the tool over, and you put the collets and keepers into this little handheld deal. You punch the spring, and it sets everything for you. So it's pretty sweet. And to be honest, it was $40 on eBay. So if you've never heard of this tool or saw it, I'll show a picture of it here in the top corner. And then when I get the next video coming up, these valve springs are supposed to be in today. I was going to include it in this video, except I'm already editing this video. They're still not here. So I'm going to put this video up, and we're already at like over 15-minute long on this video. So I do valve springs and some testing in the next video, and then we're off to drag week. Out of every turbo I've tried, I've had an S300, I think it was a 6972. Then I had this last S300 from Diesel Pump UK that is a common or a super common turbo, the SXE. They were great turbos for big power, big boost, nothing to spool fast enough. I used the quick spool valve, still didn't work for my application, for the drag racing application. This Turbinator VGT, although it's a little smaller, 63, 68, I will be taking it to a dyno soon, shortly after drag week. We've got that scheduled up to see how much power we will be making, but the VGT is the fastest it's ever spooled. The torque it is making is significantly different because of the peak boost coming in so much sooner and the fuel cycle. So if you're in the market for a turbo and you're going to spend $2,000 on a turbo and you don't know what to buy, I would highly recommend the Turbinator VGT series. So I will shortly be changing, probably after drag week, to the Turbinator 66mm series. The 63, 68, we'll see what it does, but that is what they recommended. Diesel Power Source, when we talked to them originally, was a 66mm. They should hold 600 horsepower or more. The 63, 68, I'm not sure if it's rated for that. I don't think it is, but we'll see what it can do. But I would highly recommend them. Out of all the turbos I've used, this is the quickest spooling, highest horsepower, the only turbo that's ever worked for my application correctly that I've used yet. So I would highly recommend them if you're looking into it. I wouldn't dive into it if you're going to have a 4L80 trans brake deal. I wouldn't go buy a 76mm S300 because it ain't going to spool in 30 seconds. The converter in my car, I think, is right. I don't think it might need to be a little looser, but we're close, and this turbo has made up for it a significant amount. So that is the end of this video here. I would highly recommend it. Look into them. They're expensive, so I get it if not. But if you're drag racing, need a quick spooling turbo, I highly recommend them. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Hopefully we'll be doing cool stuff soon. We got 5 days of racing in Maryland and Pennsylvania coming up soon. So we'll see you there. Hopefully we break some records.